Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper.
How you doing today, Garfield?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
No complaints. Just same old, right? Just
Yep.
getting right into it. Say we're going to talk about. I know we've brought this up before. In the new contract, it's something was put in where if you have 3 no call, no shows, you lose your seniority. Which again, that means you're terminated.
Yeah.
Now, the company is jumping on that. They're jumping to take them to the panel and use that language. We knew they would.
Yes.
Okay. And it's a problem. I'm going to tell you a situation. I had a member call me. Someone gave him my number or texted me and said, what do I do? I have to be somewhere every day. I don't know. I'm not sure what it was for. So she's got to leave early. Like, well, that's the decision you have to make. I mean, if they don't let you, then you still have to finish your job, you know? So I asked her, I said, have you gotten in touch with your supervisor? She says, no. I said, has it been 3 days? She goes, yes. I was like, oh God, my head started spinning, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. And I saw this as a BA. People will get fired, but if they at least communicated, let's say they did something, they have a better chance of coming back if they communicated. When you don't communicate, that says basically to management, you don't care.
Yeah.
And I know that's not necessarily the case because this member, I know she was nervous. She didn't know what to say and whatnot, but you need to make contact, especially with this new language. And, this is one of the reasons why we didn't want it in there, but I mean, it's there and we have to do what we've always done. We have to communicate with management. Have you ever been an issue where you're a steward or whatnot, where this has happened? Has that happened at your building with the new language?
It hasn't happened yet. We had one guy that was a little worried about it because he had I believe it was kidney stones. And it took him, he was off for a few days, but he wasn't aware of the new language, and he had called me about it. He had called me to talk about it after we had done that episode. And I said, did they know you had kidney stones? They were like, yeah, they knew I was going to be out for a few days. And I was like, okay, well, you're probably okay here, but I want you to reach out and communicate to your supervisor, like, right now and see what they say.
Absolutely.
And, like, I'm not going to bring it up to anybody, and, everything was fine. But, he had been out for, like, because he originally went out on like a Friday, and then this was like Thursday of the next week when he was getting ready to come back. And he was like, well, I mean, technically you didn't communicate with him this whole time. If I was going to go through this and, be a dick about it, with the way the language reads, you didn't communicate with him for 3 days. If you hadn't communicated with them by the morning of the 3rd day, that's, they can walk you out. Like, in a situation like yours, you're probably going to get your job back. But they have, if they wanted to be a dick about it, they could have absolutely been like, okay, well, you're going to be off work for a few months. But, thankfully that didn't happen with us, with this situation. But I'm not going to be surprised if it does. It's one of the reasons why we did that episode earlier last year. And, hopefully we can inform people enough to where they know. And I tell my members, they're all about communication right now, especially at the beginning of the year because they want to write everybody up for everything. I said, communication is, malicious compliance at this point. If you've got to spend 10 minutes setting up your truck out on the route, communicate that you're setting up your truck. If you've got to drive a half a mile out of your way to go take a shit, communicate. Hey, I'm going to the restroom. Blow them up. Don't give them an excuse. If they're going to pull you into the office and ask you where you are, it's like, well, I told you where I was.
Exactly. I mean, it's so important. I mean, that's, like I said, even before this language is in there, management would take it personally. Oh, they didn't give a crap about their job, so they didn't communicate.
Yeah.
we'd have to be like, well, they were nervous. I guess they maybe, they should have communicated, but hey, listen, the supervisor's not making it easy or, whatever. But you just communicate. That's what we're trying to get across here. It was important that we brought this up again because it's happening. People are being, terminated. I don't, waiting on the cases if people are, out for good, if they've taken them out, and they haven't gotten their jobs back at the panel. It's just, you can avoid a lot of problems by communicating with management.
Yeah.
So, but just wanted to bring that up. That's all we're going to talk about today.
I did want to mention one thing too. Like, if you're going to communicate with them, like if you're off the clock or if you're at home or whatever, and you're sick or whatever, and you can't make it for a couple of days, do that via text message so you have a record. They respond
absolutely.
to if
documentation.
They have documentation. If you're communicating with them during the day while you're at work, do it in the board. We mentioned that in a previous episode about them communicating with you about how to properly sheet up packages. Make sure that is documented in the board. Don't talk to them on the phone and say, hey, everything's fine, or hey, I'm still sick, or hey, I still haven't, passed this kidney stone or whatever. Do it in the text message so you have a document, you have something you can screenshot and send to the union and say, hey, I communicated with them about this situation.
Absolutely. And it'll that's less stress for each employee. So, and we're gonna be bringing this up a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I want everyone to hear mine and your voice saying, communicate with management.
Yes.
Communicate with management. Because that could decide your job.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It could decide your job.
Yeah.
And,
And also, just to be clear too, this is supplemental language. So I don't know what the other the other regions outside of the southern regions say for Article 48. They have language like this, but this is southern region language that was put in.
Nice. Yep. So we will know it's going to come up again. We're gonna hear about more situations, and I'm hoping we don't, because that means maybe we're doing our part to help people communicate with management. But we're going to keep trying to reinforce this to all the members.
Yeah.
So for myself and Garfield, everyone have a good night.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.